was in college, I had a part-time job at our local country club. Now listen here, the country club had 9 holes and it was in Seward, Nebraska. I don't want you thinking that I held some hoity-toity job at some big and rich country club. These were working class people who just happened to come into a little bit of money who were members here. So while I was there, I had 2 bosses, Linda and Holly. Linda could be described as the typical German woman. You did not want to cross her. She was very hard-headed, and you always knew where you stood with her. Holly, on the other hand, was a very sweet woman. She would often greet customers who she knew with a hug. You always knew that Holly was happy, that Holly was genuinely happy to be there, was happy when people walked in. You never knew that with Linda. And here's what I learned, that complementary people are beneficial. See, if it was just Linda, no one would have known that they were welcomed at the country club. None of us employees would have known that we were doing a good job. If we'd only had Holly, though, nothing would have ever gotten done. We needed both Linda and Holly. And that's what we mean when we talk about pressing on together. We are better together than we are apart. When Paul talks about this, he doesn't use the word together when he says press on toward the goal. But he certainly means that based on his other writings where he talks about the body of Christ and how important it is to see ourselves in community with one another. We need to be together. We need to have complementary people in relationships. It is essential that we come together and press on towards the same goal, which is Jesus Christ. When I was in seminary, though, during the midst of my theological training, there's something that Paul said in this same chunk of verses that really upset me in some ways. He says, "Together, follow my example." When I first read this, I thought, how arrogant is it for Paul to say something like this? Rather than to say, like, together, let's follow Jesus, he says, together, let's follow my example. Well, what's so great about you, Paul? A couple years later, I visited a church where the pastor explained what that meant. See, oftentimes in our society, in our world, as we go through this monotonous life, it's hard to see Jesus. None of us have ever touched him. None of us have ever seen him face to face, physically. But we have fantastic examples of Jesus in our daily life. They can be friends, pastors, maybe even spouses. Sometimes it's easier to follow the people who we can see, who are more mature in faith than we are, and follow their example as they follow Jesus. It's important to have those people around. Just following his example as he follows Jesus, but to follow the example of the saints who have gone before us, the saints who are in our midst right now, and the saints who are really little and are growing up. We press on together as we pursue that example of Jesus Christ. As I think about Paul's advice for us to join together, to come together, to work together as a team, I think of the story of Dick Hoyt and his son who came together to do some amazing things. Watch their story. Perhaps we feel handicapped on our own, but when we come together with our friends, with Jesus, nothing can stand in our way, because together has power.